Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Wednesday, the 18th of March. I hope you've all recovered from green beer and shamrocks from St. Patty's Day. A couple of days ago, I was reading a devotion from a Celtic daily prayer that I use almost every day. And this was a poem written by Francis J. Roberts, and it really spoke to me. Many a ship has sailed from port to port with no interference from me, because strong will has been at the wheel. Multitudes of pleasure cruises go merrily on their ways, untouched by the power of my hand. But you have put your life into my keeping, and because you are depending on me for guidance and direction, I shall give it. Move on steadily, and know that the waters that carry you are the waters of my love and my kindness, and I will keep you on the right course. I am like 89% sure I have shared that poem with you before. However, sometimes when something speaks to you, it speaks again. And I can't remember what I might have said about this poem before, but it really spoke to me as I was preparing for this to record this church at home. Especially in this season of Lent, when I won't use we, when I am struggling. I always struggle during Lent, and I know that, and I try to be prepared for it, and I'm never fully prepared. The closer we get to Holy Week, the closer we get to Good Friday, the deeper, the harder it gets for me. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. But being reminded that placing myself in God's hands is a choice is important. I'm I like sailing. I like being out on the boat. Rob has a fishing boat, and we haven't used it in a long time. We haven't had opportunity since we came west. We put it out on Cold Lake, which is definitely a cold lake in Alberta. It's a massive lake, but that was a couple of years ago, and we haven't had an opportunity, haven't had water to get near, or time, or the ability. With Rob's arthritis and things, we had a year or two where things were kind of dicey about whether we keep the boat or not, but we have, and hopefully it will still work this summer. Get some holiday time and get out. But I love being out on the water. I loved it in Halifax. We would put out into the North Arm near where we lived, and we go around through the North Arm and out into the ocean, into the Atlantic Ocean, and come back around the piers, the docks, and then come down into the Bedford Basin and see all the big yachts and ships of the rich people and all the freighters that were there unloading cars from Japan and things like that, and then get into the waters of the basin and places where it was really quiet, where we could just stop and eat our lunch and listen. And sometimes we saw a harbor seal, which was darn near as big as our boat, and things like that. It was just beautiful. And there were times when we went out. I remember one time we went out when we were in Barrie, living in Borden, went to Barrie, and we went out and it was a beautiful day. Beautiful day. And we were just putting along, doing our thing. We were not, cardinal rule of being on the boat, you always pay attention to the weather. And we weren't. And I should have realized, we both should have realized when we got cold and had to put our coats on, that maybe we should, take a look around and turn back in. But the weather changed and the wind picked up and the sun went down behind the clouds. And before we knew it, we were way out in Kempenfelt Bay, and the waves were coming up and lapping the back of the boat. And Rob did his utmost to keep me calm and not let me know how scared he was about what would happen if the waves came up over the boat. And so he went in closer to shore, and we cruised along the shoreline. I think he thought that I wasn't aware of what was going on, and I was trying hard not to let him know I was aware so he wouldn't panic. And we stayed in as close to shore as we could in case something happened. And we finally got in, and when we did, we were shaking, and we were so glad to be alive and giving thanks to God that God had used years and years of Rob learning how to captain a boat, and years of being who he is and doing what he does, and years of me learning to pray hard. But that God used the skills that we had to help us to come ashore, but all of that time knowing that it was because of God that we were coming ashore. Many a ship has sailed from port to port with no interference from me, because strong will has been at the wheel. Multitudes of cruisers go merrily on their ways, untouched by the power of my hand. There have been times when Rob and I have been out in the boat, and that's the way it was. We didn't pay attention to God's presence. We were totally cool with how things were going because we were in control. And you know what? 100% of the time we've been safe. We've managed to come home. But 90% of those times when our sail was done and we realized we hadn't been paying attention to the glory of the world around us or the gift that God had given us, that we realized we should have been giving thanks, that God was really at the helm. So that whole first verse really speaks to me about the our lack of paying attention, our lack of situational awareness for allowing God to be the one who leads us. But you have put your life into my keeping, God says, and because you are depending on me for guidance and direction, I shall give it. When we ask, when we say to God, you take over, God says yes. Move on steadily and know that the waters that carry you are the waters of my love and my kindness, and I will keep you on the right course. When we place ourselves in God's hands, when we ask God to take over, to be the captain of our lives, God says yes. It doesn't mean that the right course is always completely smooth sailing. But when it's the right course, it means that we're following God's will and God gets us through the times that aren't smooth sailing. And that's a gift. We're told, move on steadily and know that the waters that carry you are the waters of my love and my kindness, and I will keep you on the right course. As you continue through your day and into the rest of your week, I pray that you will continue on the right course. And I pray that you'll always be able to recognize the hand of God steering your boat. God bless you. Have a great day. And I'll see you tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachael.